You're listening to Truth on Tap with host Kevin Kierstead.
Ladies and gents, this is Kevin Kierstead, host of Truth on Tap and Caps on Tap. I hope you're enjoying the show. Truth on Tap is focused on bringing you absolute truth about everything from mainstream media to comedy, from psychology to the paranormal. This show keeps it real, not the fake kind of real, the real kind of real. That same spirit also covers our Caps on Tap show about the Washington Capitals. Caps on Tap shows air only after Capitals wins at this time. Please come like our Facebook page and join the conversation at facebook.com/Truth on Tap show. Truth on Tap has been picked up and promoted by iHeartRadio, the internet audio mega monster, so shows are available there as well as on Spreaker and a limited selection on iTunes. To get in on a show's chat, you can chat from the Facebook page I mentioned or go to www.spreaker.com/user/truth-on-tap and look for the live episode or call in at 910-NOLYING. That's 910-665-9464. Thanks again for checking out Truth on Tap and Caps on Tap.
You're listening to Truth on Tap with host Kevin Kierstead.
Opening up the truth pipeline for these bitches.
Truth on Tap. Truth.
My right to say how I say it's mine to give. My hands, my heart, it's mine to share. My songs, my heart.
Truth on Tap.
Any right to use. Just the way you chop it up and recombine. Chop it up and recombine.
11 o'clock, 8/29/2014. Truth on Tap. Kevin Kierstead, the host. Genghis featured Stereo Black Star Super Negro. I said it all in one breath and had some left over. You see, I got big lungs. They're the size of old luggage. Yeah. I could probably stay underwater for about 45 days, maybe 42. I haven't measured. Something like that. Yeah, Super Negro. Perfect for today. Well, it's perfect for every day. I like it. It's French rap. It's funky. It's retarded. It's stupid with STOOPI Diddy stupid. The reason this show is airing right now about nothing, two reasons. One, other shows are going on, so I know you motherfuckers won't bother me in the chat room because there are other better shows than mine. This allows me to profess and pontificate as I please while feeling correct. Yeah, so y'all can't fuck with me, see? I like it. Second thing is that it is a show on nothing. And as long as it's a show on nothing, you're not allowed to have any expectations, meaning I must have already exceeded those expectations. Yeah. So that's a victory as well. It's going to be kind of like comedy, but I'll also talk a little bit about news and I don't know. It's Friday. I do like to cut loose a little on the weekends. Nothing wrong with that. And I probably won't take calls. Yeah, this is just going to be about me. I did post a new ad, though, and radio guest list, and looking for the co-host, the preferably minority female, and, also listing the show again and what kind of guests we're looking for when we do have guests on. I'm too nice, for one thing, and I'm such a great listener that I end up letting the guest talk the whole time, and that's not an ideal show. It's not the way you do it. You gotta run quarterback plays. Holy shit! These people in my chat room: Chris Crash Jesus, HTLA 973 out of New York, the Canadian. Yeah, and Barco's in there, who continues to ask for pictures of my penis, and it is unnerving to me to some degree. And I'm pretty crazy. I can handle about anything. But repeated requests for the penis pic do freak me out a little. I'm going to admit that right here and right now. Because it's just sitting there, It's like any old penis. It's just sitting there. It's like, there's nothing going on here. I'm just a penis. Yeah, there's nothing going on. It's just there. This show is on nothing, folks. So if you understand that, you're not allowed to have expectations. If I had dead air on, that would have to meet your expectations for this show. Yeah, so that works for me. It has to work for me. It's setting the standard. Yeah.
You're listening to Truth
I think we'll
on
stop
Tap
the music.
with host Kevin Kierstead.
I don't feel like doing music anymore right now. Thank you, Wes. WesJohnson.com. You can find him, the greatest voiceover actor ever, and a very talented regular actor. A huge fan of Doctor Who, Wes Johnson. You can say to him when you get in touch with him for your voiceover work, how about that Doctor Who? And he'll start chatting with you. He loves him some Doctor Who. He's getting ready to do some more voiceover work for me. I'm very excited about that. And I can imitate about any voice in the world. His is one that I cannot imitate. Too much bass, too much air coming out of the lungs at once, at the same time. So you have the bass and the high volume output. That's something I can't do. I can do bass with low volume output or high volume output with treble. But shit like that. Let's see. Barco says, I did not bring it up. You did. Yeah, but you were going to bring it up, Barco. And I don't want to show you my PP. That was music. Yes, it was, Chris Crash Jesus. That was French rap. And I play it because it sounds kind of like a Rocky song to me. And I'm one of those white dudes that thinks that white people can box, but they can't really. But I like to believe it. It's like I fooled myself. And then also it's French, and I'm studying French again. I took 2 years in high school, 3 years in college, and I got straight A's in college. I didn't try in high school, but I still don't remember a whole lot. Like, I remember all the nouns. That's not enough. So since I'm studying it again, I am listening to French cinema and French music and things like that. See, Barco, I can read your mind. My psychiatry training tells me that you were going to ask for a photo of my penis, and I was going to tell you that my penis looks about like 10 million other penises out there. Why would you want to see mine? I'm not into that. There was a time I might have just flaunted pictures of my penis around, like, look at my schling schlong ding dong, waving it around like a lasso. As you can see, I can hog tie a small cow with it, or I can pretend it's an elephant trunk and pick up an orange, maybe even throw it a 45-mile-an-hour change-up, kind of a knuckleball, because you can't be too specific with a penis. It's not like you're going to throw a curveball. However, I am able to throw a fastball with it, and occasionally in the strike zone. So I think that's impressive if you can do that with your penis and a baseball, because it has a wraparound plus sling effect. I sometimes use my balls using a bolo effect to take squirrels out of the tree. Whap, hap, 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 hap. Sometimes it's a wraparound effect. It's like it misses them, but it wraps around the tree. It, bam, catches them on the backside after the wraparound. Pop, ping, pop. Down comes squirrel. My balls are still stuck in the tree, but down the squirrel comes, and we're eating tonight. We've got ball-killed squirrel fresh out of the tree, and I'm happy about that. That's a success for the caveman mentality. Chris Crash Jesus, you guys need to check out his show, HTLA, like high-tech Los Angeles, only not. And he and his lovely wife do shows out of New York, and they're both very talented. They know the back end, the front end, the side end, the inside out, the upside down, and the pound cake version of radio. You ought to check them out. Very talented people. Crash Jesus has the radio voice, seriously, the business knowledge, the inside, the outside. He's done the formal schooling. He knows film. He's got all of that. He's got the entertainment industry under his thumb. So if you are a host and you want to learn something, he's the guy you want to go learn it from. Barco, I don't know what to say about Barco. Barco intimidates me a little bit. You're very welcome, Chris. You earned it, man. But I don't know what to say about Barco. I fear you a little, Barco. I fear you, and I don't fear anything. But, like, I could picture you being like a Jeffrey Dahmer or either one of the Chips. Remember Chips? California Highway Patrol show back in the 70s. I could picture you as either one of those guys. The tight pants and the boots. You're either Hispanic and very flirtatious with a great smile, or you're a white dude that thinks he's cool but isn't. It's one of the two. I can't put my finger on it. But I have not hog-tied a cow or picked up an orange with my penis in ages. So, and I don't plan on it. You know what I've got up here? I've got the top 10 causes of death. Yeah, and one of them is not getting shot by police when you're unarmed. Strange thing, because you would think it was if you were to look at the news and the headlines today. How many people die every year? You got any idea, folks? In 2012? How many people died in 2012? It's only an estimate. They can't even tell you for sure. Take a wild guess on how many people died in 2012. Don't Google it. You'll ruin it if you do that. Rely on your brain for a change. How many people you think died in the whole year of 2012 across the globe? Let me see if you guys got guesses in the chat room. I see none. Hey, Apocalypse, there's other shows on that are better than mine, so I figured you motherfuckers would leave me alone so I could rant and not be corrected, but I was wrong. Or are you listening to two shows at once? I know Sandsnet's on right now. I figured you'd be over at his show. 56 million people died in 2012 or thereabouts. 56 million people. What kills more people, infectious disease or non-communicable diseases? Non-communicable diseases are responsible for 68% of all deaths globally, up from 60% in 2000. The four main NCDs are cardiovascular, cancers, diabetes, and chronic lung disease. Communicable, maternal, neonatal, and nutrition conditions collectively are responsible for 23% of global deaths, and injuries cause 9% of deaths. Did you know that? Does that sound right to you? Because that's the truth, guys. Are cardiovascular diseases the number one cause of death throughout the world? Yes, the answer is. Do most NCD deaths occur in high-income countries? In terms of number of deaths, 28 million, about three-quarters of the 38 million global NCD deaths in 2012 occurred in low- and middle-income countries. So think about that. Non-communicable diseases happen more frequently in low- and middle-income countries. And using your logic skills, you can then deduce that upper-income countries are less likely to have more deaths from non-communicable diseases. And then you can do some work in your brain and go, oh, I see why. World Health Organization often says that smoking is the top cause of death. Where does tobacco use affect the causes of death? Tobacco use is a major cause of many of the world's top killer diseases, including cardiovascular disease, chronic obstructive lung disease, lung cancer. In total, tobacco is responsible for the death of about 1 in 10 adults worldwide. Smoking is often the hidden cause of the disease recorded as responsible for death. Which is odd, because here you have the World Health Organization saying that the doctor's reports and the coroner's reports that say, pulmonary failure or something along those lines are actually caused by smoking. Yet they're not doing the investigation to see if smoking actually caused it. They're making a guesstimate. What a strange thing to do in such a scientific field as medicine, as to say, and I'm going to say it again, smoking is often the hidden cause of the disease recorded as responsible for death. What a strange thing to say, because if, I don't know, maybe I'm misunderstanding what they're trying to say there. I'm not going to pick at that, not on a weekend. What are the main differences between rich and poor countries with respect to causes of death? It's boring. How has the situation changed in the past decade? Not really. Hasn't changed much. HIV decreased slightly. TB was still among the 15 leading causes, killing over 900,000 people in 2012. Maternal deaths have dropped from 427,000 in the year 2000 to 289,000 in 2013, but are still unacceptably high. What number is acceptable? What 100,000 is acceptable? I mean, the words they choose when it comes to death, it does make you think that there's a certain value placed on life and a certain value only. Injuries continue to kill 5 million people each year. Road traffic injuries claim nearly 3,500 lives each day in 2012. 3,500 people a day from car crashes. More than 600 more than in the year 2000, making it among the 10 leading causes in 2012. How many young children die each year and why? We're not getting into that. I talked to you about starvation alone, killing 18,000 children a day. Hunger or hunger-related illness. We're not getting into that. That's depressing. I don't even know why I had these stats up here. I pulled up news and something got my attention, and you get into that funky rhythm of clicking on links that are on links to links, and then there you are. There you are looking into Syria's nuclear program, going, I didn't even know they had a nuclear program. How did I get to this part of the internet? And you flee back to Facebook, or you flee to YouTube, or you go to eBay and say, I didn't see what I just saw. I didn't see it. I'm going to eBay. I'll buy a shirt and everything will be okay. Now, speaking of buying shirts, I have a new pair of shoes tonight that I would like to brag about a little bit, because I've never had a pair of shoes quite this comfortable. They were dirt cheap. They are Champion brand from Payless Shoes. They are a mesh covering. You can literally see through the mesh if you hold it up to the light. And then the inside is just, soft. That's all. Plus, we were at the Dollar Tree, and even I can afford $1 sometimes. And I got the memory foam pads to put in on top of the already soft pads. This makes my feet happy. And I'm going to repeat what a lady once said, and I don't remember who it was, but she said, get a comfortable bed and a comfortable pair of shoes, because if you're not in one, you're usually in the other, and I believe it. Apocalypse said, sometimes, though, those 100-year-olds are caught as smokers and drinkers, which baffles a lot of people. That's right. My Aunt Fran smoked 2 cigarettes a day and drank wine, about a half a bottle of wine a day, and she lived to be about 197, I think. I mean, Jesus Christ, she wouldn't die. If you're not using her KK, maybe we borrow her. Smoking killed Michael Brown. It could have been smoking. Could have been. Especially if he was smoking some of that red weed. You don't know. He'd get a little crazy, get a little PCP laced. Hey, cops, I'm killing you with my pinkies. Here I come. Look, I got bull horns. No, my girlfriend's been getting pissed about that too, Crash Jesus. The commercials coming on, talking about people with their tracheotomies, and oh yeah, I'm cleaning it with a Q-tip. Well, how come they aren't showing the people that are getting drunk every night and wrapping their cars around trees, or their fucking liver is destroyed? How come they're not showing the people eating pound cake after pound cake and then having open heart surgery? They're not showing that, are they? How come they're not showing the people snorting cocaine and losing their septum and having one nostril? But they're sure showing those cigarette-related ones. It's ridiculous. There's a line that they cross with that. It's just a taste line that you don't cross. Not on regular TV. Barca says, I know I hate those fuckers who smoke and eat like crap and live to be 90 plus. We had a guy that actually bought my parents' house for them and financed it. He was a very close friend of the family's. He was a pretty wealthy guy. He was a Navy doctor, a Navy surgeon. And his, I can't say his name because that would be a privacy thing, but he never smoked a cigarette in his life. And he had about 65, 66 years old, bam, lung cancer, was dead by 70. And I thought, ain't that a bitch? Because my dad smoked and drank like a choo-choo train, and he lived to 69. This dude does everything right, eats healthy, exercises, kachinka. The lung cancer gets him. Don't be silly and think, well, it doesn't matter what I do then. It does matter. And his was a rare case, but fuck, it does make you just go, all right, I don't feel confident that I'm going to live very long. I'll put it that way. Ever. Cancer is genetic. They found that in 2003. I know cancer can have a genetic component, but or at least the propensity to develop cancer. We're all born with our cancer cells. They just begin to divide and grow. So it depends on what you do. Is it skin cancer? Is it lung cancer? Is it penis cancer? Is it large toe cancer? Guys, people who go to tanning beds are going to be more likely to get skin cancer than those that don't. Science is something that gets ignored these days. It really does. We are getting into such fantastic news stories now that science has taken a back burner. What we want now, what the public is calling for, and the organizations that write the news are responding to, is entertainment. You can take some science out, said the masses, if you'll entertain us with it a little bit. Give us just a tad of drama with every story, and we'll accept that you don't have your facts straight. This is working. All you've got to do is watch an hour of MSNBC or an hour of Fox News, and you can watch it at work. Scary stuff. News is bad for you. This is from theguardian.com, which is a site I don't trust any further than I can throw it. I'm sorry. BBC I trust. The Guardian I don't. But hell, maybe it's an interesting story. Let's see. News is bad for you, and giving up reading it will make you happier. I believe that. Why? You guys know. Why would not reading the news probably make you happier? Unless you're so type A on current events that it would make you miserable to not be up on them. Why would not reading the news make you happier? You know why. Anyway, it says, and I'll find out and see if you guys know in the chat room, news is bad for your health. It leads to fear and aggression and hinders your creativity and ability to think deeply. The solution? Stop consuming it altogether. You know, this is impressive. That a media organization that thrives on you reading the news has allowed Rolf Dobelli on Friday, 12 April 2013 at 3 o'clock p.m. my time to publish an article saying don't read any more news. That's bold. That took balls. That took journalistic courage. Good for them. Good for the Guardian. I wonder how many subscribers they lost that day that said, well, fuck it, I'll take his advice. Yeah, not the best business decision, I'm thinking. We're going to talk a little bit. Maybe they were onto something here. I mean, if it was that important that they were willing to lose subscribers for it, let's talk about it, man. This may be a big deal. You know, my girlfriend and I were talking about this. I took a break from the news when the Malaysian Airlines flight went down. The first day it happened, I said, let me assure you. Now, Crash Jesus used to be a pilot, and I'll bet he agrees too. That plane is at the bottom of the ocean. That's all. That's all. There could have been a few causes. It was not abducted by an alien spacecraft. It was not flown to Turkey or fucking Syria or Pakistan to be turned into a nuclear missile. It was not flown into outer space as a special flight to Mars program. It was not eaten by the Loch Ness Monster. It's in the bottom of the ocean. It had a mechanical failure or autopilot failed or something. Maybe it was a terrorist attack. But it's at the bottom of the ocean, okay? And I knew that the speculation would start, just like with Michael Brown. Because you don't get facts right away from any case. You don't get facts right away. You got to wait. It takes time to do investigations. Nobody's trying to put you off and say, oh, we're going to hide everything. They got to figure it out first. Give them some fucking time. So what do we do now? The news has found it's profitable to bring in experts who will be willing to speculate. So I said to my girlfriend, I've got to turn the news off. It's all about the Malaysian Airlines. I got to turn it off. I got to. And I didn't watch news for at least 2 weeks. Seriously. Because I couldn't stand it. People guessing what happened. Ridiculous. Now, if they were just reporting on, say, how the families felt about their missing loved ones, those are legit stories. If they were reporting on the searches and the search techniques being used, those are legitimate stories. But half the time, it was speculation about what caused it and where the plane was. Do you want to hear people on a 24-hour news network sit there and guess where a fucking plane is? I don't. I'm not going to. So if something like that happens again, and the same has happened with the Michael Brown case, I've had to stop watching news. I'm waiting for the facts. If you don't figure out what happened in the first 48 hours, you'll figure it out. KK, if your girl on Second Life, I think she just sent me a request to meet her in S&M Dungeon on there. Oh, she may have. I don't know. I don't think she plays any games like that, but you never really know someone, do you? So I guess it's possible. What was the airline? Did I get the airlines wrong? I don't know. Yeah, I know the first 48 hours of any investigation are critical. But if there's a plane at the bottom of the sea and there are strong currents near where that plane went down, you're going to have a hell of a time. People think this world's a lot smaller than it is. When it comes to looking for parts of a plane, it's tiny. Eastern Airlines? Huh. No, not the first one that went down. It was MH370. Let me see if they have any news on this. I've listened to the Chris Top program again. I remember you talking about that on one of our shows, Crash. And I don't know what happened to him. You said he basically took a dip, I think, in organization and presentation. But it sounds like he's back now. I mean, it sounds like a professional production to me. So is he one of your favorites? I'm curious what his angle is. Like, what is his whole... You know, everybody's got their thing that they're known for. What's his thing? Missing Malaysian Airlines MH370, yeah. And everybody's still guessing. Oh, here you go. Flight MH370 conspiracy theories. Stolen by Israeli agents. Captured by aliens. Or did it crash in Ukraine? Get the fuck out of here. Oh, lordy. People, lordy. Yeah, he lost his mojo for a long time. I sure can't understand it, Crash, because I have lost my mojo routinely, as a matter of routine. You know, and you can look at the likes on my shows. If you didn't listen to any of them and you just went down and looked at the likes, you can see them up and down and up and down. And that's me not being motivated, not being sharp. One thing you have to be on a radio show is quick moving and quick thinking. If you don't have that, if you're too fatigued, or if you just can't think fast enough, if you're more of a writer, you know, writers, I write too. And what I love about writing is you have time to revise your thoughts. You don't have to spit them right out right then. On radio, you don't have that luxury. You have to say it now, and it has to sound good, and you have to avoid and you know. In my opinion, it's wise to learn to get rid of and you know, or use them the most minimal amount of times possible. He's doing the interview thing now, but it used to be his one-man show. I wonder why he's doing interviews now instead of doing the one-man show. Bottom of the sea, get sponge pants square bob on the case. Okay, Barco, are you from America? I'm curious. I'll bet you're from Brazil, if I had to guess. Do you know who, what's his name? Oscar Bonavina is? Do you remember him? His co-host sucks. The show I listened to that you shared, Chris, was, I didn't even hear his co-host. I heard him talking to a guest. But maybe his co-host was in on that too. I don't know. I get confused because I listen to so many shows trying to follow people and see where the podcast is going. Like tonight's show. Tonight was I just felt like doing a show. I had no real plan. Oscar Bonavina, I believe is his name. He fought Muhammad Ali, and I think he was from Argentina. I just figured you might have heard of him. You know what he said to Muhammad Ali at the press conference? I love the shit. He said, he wasn't very good with English. He said, "How come you not join the army?" Muhammad Ali said, "I'll answer that in the ring." He said, "You chicken." Beep, 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 beep. He said, "Say that again." Well, Oscar Bonavina thought he didn't understand. So he said, "How come you not join your country army? You chicken." Beep, 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 beep. Ooh. Yeah. Muhammad Ali was rather inflamed, and he knocked Bonavina out in the 15th round. But Bonavina gave him a beating for a while there. He said it was the hardest puncher he'd ever fought. which is odd considering he fought George Foreman and Ernie Shavers and Sonny Liston. Anyway, let's not talk about boxing. Apparently I don't have boxing fans in the chat room. I am a boxing fan. I don't like the MMA stuff. It reminds me too much of real street fighting, and that's depressing. Don't want to see that. I like boxing. There's a little bit of safety involved, a little bit of predictability. No people bending arms the wrong way and shit. Yeah, I don't like that very much. I don't think that may appeal as a blood sport to some people, but not to me. I guess because I'm getting older. Maybe my younger self I would have liked that, but not now. And I also don't like it when boxers can no longer speak, because they're the whole punch drunk, multiple concussion thing. That's not attractive at all. I was looking at this news story, you guys, and I think it's worth talking about. So we're going to talk about it a little bit, but I'm also going to share this link on the Facebook page right now, so that if you choose to read along, you can. And we can chat it up. Yes, we can. We need to talk about how the news is hurting you. I can tell you some things that are probably hurting you right now that you could immediately fix. Sure can. You know how I do. I try to drop some hints on how to live a higher quality life. First thing you got to do, get the negative people out of your social circles. And I don't mean push them aside, but let them keep creeping in. I mean get them the hell out. If you do that, you have a shot at real happiness. If you don't, you do not. That's simple. This is a Guardian.com. I don't normally post any link by them, but because this is such a unique piece, I think it's worth a look. I really do. And it's basically saying news is bad for you. And apparently they've done some studies here, so let's look at it. Giving up reading will make you happier. News is bad for your health. It leads to fear and aggression and hinders your creativity and ability to think. All right, so stop consuming it altogether. All right, it says here. In the past few decades, the fortunate among us have recognized the hazards of living with an overabundance of food, obesity, diabetes, and have started to change our diets. But most of us do not yet understand that news is to the mind what sugar is to the body. News is easy to digest. The media feeds us small bites of trivial matter, tidbits that don't really concern our lives and don't require thinking. That's why we experience almost no saturation. Unlike reading books and long magazine articles, which require thinking, we can swallow limitless quantities of news flashes, which are bright-colored candles for the mind. Today, we have reached the same point in relation to information that we faced 20 years ago in regard to food. We are beginning to recognize how toxic news can be. First point, news misleads. Take the following event borrowed from Nassim Taleb. A car drives over a bridge and the bridge collapses. What does the news media focus on? The car, the person in the car, where he came from, where he planned to go, how the experience of the crash if he survived, how he experienced the crash if he survived. But that all is irrelevant. What's relevant? The structural stability of the bridge. That's the underlying risk that has been lurking and could lurk in other bridges. But the car is flashy, it's dramatic, it's a person, non-abstract, and it's news that's cheap to produce. News leads us to walk around with the completely wrong risk map in our head. So terrorism is overrated. Chronic stress is underrated. That's absolutely true, folks. The collapse of the Lehman Brothers is overrated. Fiscal irresponsibility is underrated. Astronauts are overrated. Nurses are underrated. You know, you hear about shark attacks, and they're happening very infrequently. But nobody's talking about the deaths, the 25,000 people dying a day from hunger or hunger-related illness. Nobody's talking about the people that are choking on small pieces of eggshells that they accidentally broke into their omelet mix, and it happens more often than shark attacks. What's going on? Well, shark attacks are fun. They're fun. They're bloody. They're dramatic. You saw Jaws? Jaws changed the world. It changed the whole world. Statistically, your chances of getting attacked by a shark are ridiculously low. Ridiculously low. Especially Barco, who never gets near water. But we're afraid of him, aren't we? Yeah, news misleads. And he's right about this. We are not rational enough to be exposed to the press. Watching an airplane crash on television is going to change your attitude toward a risk, regardless of its real probability. If you think you can compensate with the strength of your own inner contemplation, you are wrong. Bankers and economists who have powerful incentives to compensate for news-borne hazards have shown they cannot. The only solution? Cut yourself off from the news consumption entirely. What do you think about that? Is that a little too harsh, you think? I'm like Gremlin, get water on me and I turn. Floyd Mayweather reading Harry Potter. I don't think Floyd Mayweather can read. Yeah, if he ever fights Pacquiao, Pacquiao's going to light his ass up. That's what I know. Floyd Mayweather's a talented boxer, but he's so fucking boring. He's got the turtle shell defense. Just, oh, you can't hit me. You can't hit me. You can't hit me. Okay, I got one punch in. That should put me in the lead for the round. I'm done for the round. You can't hit me. Oh, Jesus, man. How boring is that? I don't like boring fighters. I would rather, Manny Pacquiao's lost 5 fights now. Floyd Mayweather's never lost a fight. But Manny Pacquiao's exciting. He's exciting. He's always coming forward and always swinging. I love guys like that. Go ahead and get knocked out once in a while. Just be exciting. That's what the crowd wants. Hey, what's up, Valerie? Welcome to the chat room. We're just screwing around. On a quite surprising twist, though, I stumbled onto an article, Valerie, about how news is bad for you. Now, I don't really trust my source here. However, this source is making a lot of sense. So maybe it's time to evaluate if news is bad for you, if you need a news vacation. As I said, the first major topic on this news is bad for you article was that news misleads. Now, the next topic, news is irrelevant. Out of the approximately 10,000 news stories you have read in the last 12 months, name one that, because you consumed it, allowed you to make a better decision about a serious matter affecting your life, your career, or your business. The point is, the consumption of news is irrelevant to you, but people find it very difficult to recognize what is relevant. It's much easier to recognize what's new. The relevant versus the new is the fundamental battle of the current age. Media organizations want you to believe that news offers you some sort of a competitive advantage. Many fall for that. We get anxious when we're cut off from the flow of news. In reality, news consumption is a competitive disadvantage. The less news you consume, the bigger the advantage you have. Well, I don't agree with that. It doesn't make sense to me, but because I believe that reading the news, if the news is accurate, gives you an advantage. It keeps you up on current events. So I don't agree with that. The next one is news. News has no explanatory power. News items are bubbles popping on the surface of a deeper world. Will accumulating facts help you to understand the world? Sadly, no. The relationship is inverted. The important stories are non-stories, slow, powerful movements that develop below journalist radar but have a transforming effect. The more news factoids you digest, the less of the big picture you will understand. If more information leads to a higher economic success, we'd expect journalists to be at the top of the pyramid. That's not the case. Well, okay, if news doesn't have explanatory power, what does? I mean, what do you have to have? A novel-length narrative? I don't understand that. I don't understand what he's saying there, but okay, that was his. News is toxic to your body. I believe that. It constantly triggers the limbic system. Panicky stories spur the release of cascades of glucocorticoid, which is cortisol. This deregulates your immune system and inhibits the release of growth hormones. In other words, your body finds itself in a state of chronic stress. High glucocorticoid levels can cause impaired digestion, lack of growth, cell, hair, or bone, nervousness, susceptibility to infections. The other potential side effects include fear, aggression, tunnel vision, and desensitization. And as you guys may or may not know, and I remember from school, if you have high cortisol levels, which is that stress hormone, it's also harder for you to wake up, and you're generally a lower energy type person. So, that's bad stuff. You don't want to stimulate the release of cortisol into your bloodstream. News increases cognitive errors. It says, newsfeed the mother of all cognitive errors. Confirmation bias. Who knows what confirmation bias is? I'll bet everybody in the chat room knows what confirmation bias is? Go ahead. Tell me. Somebody tell me. Whoever answers first, it comes in first and is therefore awarded first place for that answer. And that's huge. So who's it going to be? Who's it going to be in the chat room? Tell me what confirmation bias is. Come on, kiddies. Raise your hands. Raise your hands. There we go. Who's got the answer to confirmation bias? Oh no, Guy Shay's in the chat room, just in the nick of time, saved by the Shay. Beware of the Ubala Gay CDC attacks. Good stuff, K-Tap. What up, what up? Has anyone seen Andrew tonight? Anyone at all? Because I got a little Australian thing. I wanted to pick a bone with him on it. And, it goes like this. Like that. And that's what I wanted to say to him, but he's not here. So, confirmation bias is when you interpret a story to match your beliefs. Yes. Yes. Or you only look for stories that do support your beliefs. And then you're creating even a stronger. Like a gun nut here, says Barco, about a shooting in school and interprets it to mean that teachers and students should pack heat. Is that correct? That's partially correct, yes. Confirmation bias is someone looking to reaffirm their beliefs. So it's not only just them looking for stories that support their beliefs, but interpreting perhaps more neutral stories toward their side. And they will cherry pick and in order to support their own beliefs. And that's natural. I don't want to pick on people too much for that. But once you learn about logic and reasoning and you get real deep into it, and you really aren't afraid to say, I may be wrong about most shit, I also am subject to confirmation bias. Once you realize that, you end up thinking to yourself, I don't know anything. I'm very non-committal in my knowledge because I have to be. To stay open-minded, I have to be. And there's nothing wrong with that, in my opinion. I really don't find anything wrong with that. Socrates didn't find anything wrong with being relatively non-committal in his belief system. So I like that. I think I love open-minded people that just say, you know what? I don't know. I would like to ponder it with you. I'd like to discuss it. I'd like to hear the best evidence for any case. But I don't know. You know, when this thing happened in Ferguson, I knew right away the speculation was going to start. And it did. And where are we now? 3 witnesses saying that Brown gave up, put his hands up, and turned around after he'd already been shot. And the cop saying that he had not only charged him, but had hurt him already. And was going for his gun. Now you've got this discussion going on I'm seeing on Facebook, which pisses me off. That says, well, this guy had already robbed a store, so... And I'm going, whoa. We don't have the death sentence for robbing stores, folks. We arrest them, they get 5 to 10 years, maybe get out early on good behavior, depending on the level of the crime, what else they committed with it. Might have had a gun crime in with it, too, or an outstanding warrant, or probation from another charge. That's fine. But you don't kill them and say, oh, it's okay now, because he had been stealing something. That's Middle Eastern justice there. The neighborhood comes out and says, kill him now, hang him. They cheated on his wife. Is that what you want here? Or do we want to rely on the court system? Remember the court system? Yeah, jury of your peers. You're entitled to that as an American citizen, even if you're black. So let's keep it fair for all. Let's stick to the Constitution. If you don't like the Constitution, you can write letters. You can start movements to get it changed. But if you're not going to do that, I say accept the Constitution. Accept it as your national Bible on how your country should be run. I love our Constitution. I think it's pretty good. Guy says, our governmental-controlled public school systems are very good at confirmation bias while teaching a new version of history to crowd-please lobby groups, and in his opinion. No such thing as your peers, unfortunately. Well, I didn't spell it P-I-E-R-S, Chris. I know you know that. A jury of your peers. Peers. Am I saying it wrong? Peers. Yeah, confirmation bias is probably the most common problem with people when it comes to political and social ideology, in my opinion. Another thing that you're going to find frequently with that is natural bias, which is people sticking to their own groups, whether it's their race or their religion, or even they're part of a town, or their colleges, versus other colleges, their various affiliations versus other affiliations. This competitive animal and the broken manimal comes up and says, if I'm the winner, all you guys in opposing groups must be the losers. And, it's a sad thing. It is sad because it affects accuracy. Do you guys know each other? I didn't know you guys know each other. Oh, Crash, you got to listen to Guy Shea's show. It's the only show I've heard that moves at least as fast as mine and a little faster. And, your show moves about the same speed as mine. But Guy's it's out of control. I think, I think he must snort cocaine is all I can guess. And because, I was reading, what was his name? Who was the comedian that used to be Tim Conway Jr.? And they had an interview with a few guys, including Tim Conway Jr. One of the guys that was interviewed said, there are two types of radio hosts I like, and the ones I don't like are the ones that settle personal scores on the air, but the ones I like are either the ones that make me laugh in my car when I'm alone, or the ones who snort cocaine with both nostrils, because they're out of control. So... I agree with them. I like that high energy style in my radio hosts. I love listening to that kind of stuff. I used to listen to Mancow. We disagreed on just about everything politically, but most of my friends are conservatives, and my social policies are liberal. My fiscal policies are conservative, but still I keep an open mind about that. Like, well, maybe there's a better idea out there. You tell me. What I do believe is people in the United States that are citizens should all be treated equally, and we don't have that. We do not have that. And whites are becoming the minority now, so keep that in mind. One day whites are going to be a very small minority, and you're going to say, how are we going to be treated then, do you suppose? I don't snort cocaine. I drink coffee. I don't do drugs. I'm on some pain pills right now, so I'm a little high because I went to the VA thing and got my back. My back was all messed up, so they gave me some pills. But no, normally I don't do any drugs. How do you self-administer it? Cook it up and bang it in a vein? I don't know, man. I've heard that some people will actually smoke pills, and you have all of my curiosity involved in that. I have no idea how you would smoke a pill, but it happens apparently. Yeah, my back's fucked up. It looks like it's ugly. I'm not even going to talk about it. I don't like bringing people down. That's not what I like to do. So let's get back to this article. The news is bad for you, so maybe it is time, folks. I know everybody in this chat room right now is pretty attentive to the news. What do you say we take a break? Let's take a week off. You can still read the headlines, but then get away from it, I say. If you're a person who absolutely loves Reuters, or you only trust CBS, that's fine. Go to their website, skim the headlines, and then be done with it for the day. What's important is to not spend an hour in it. So let's keep going. News is toxic to your body. As I said, news increases cognitive errors, it says. News feeds the mother of all cognitive errors. Oh, we already talked about that, confirmation bias. News inhibits thinking. Thinking requires concentration. Concentration requires uninterrupted time. News pieces are specifically engineered to interrupt you. Fox News does this a lot. They'll have breaking news. Have you noticed that? And they'll have the breaking news, and it gets your attention. We were conditioned for that after 9/11. And a lot of times you look at the story and go, oh, it's a car chase? How? I just got off of the stair stepper to watch a car chase in Phoenix? Well, I don't understand. And nothing happened. The car just happens to be going 85 miles an hour. Okay, and we just covered that for half an hour? That's not news. That's not breaking news. We got to be smarter than that. We got to be smarter than to get conditioned like Pavlov's dogs to little sounds that the news uses to get your attention for breaking news. They are like viruses that steal attention for their own purposes. News makes us shallow thinkers, but it's worse than that. News severely affects memory. There are two types of memory. Long-range memory's capacity is nearly infinite, but working memory, this is coming from England. They have different ways of wording things. Working memory is limited to a certain amount of slippery data. The path from short-term to long-term memory is a choke point in the brain, but anything you want to understand must pass through it. If this passageway is disrupted, nothing gets through. Because news disrupts concentration, it weakens comprehension. Online news has an even worse impact. In a 2001 study, 2 scholars in Canada showed that comprehension declines as the number of hyperlinks in a document increases. Why? Because whenever a link appears, your brain has to at least make the choice not to click, which in itself is distracting. News is an intentional interruption system. Wow. Yeah, I'm not going to read the rest of this. I am going to read the rest of this, but not on the air. And I hope you guys check it out. I shared the link already. This makes me even more likely to take a long news break. Literally like a couple weeks. I've heard in the past that people that do this find themselves happier. Get away from the news for a while. You know it's just bad news that sells. So if it's bad news that sells, then all the news you're seeing is bad. Oh, once in a while you'll see how, the ice bucket challenge helped a certain person get through an ALS challenge of some type, or some boy was Batman for a day because he had cancer, but he beat the cancer. That's once in a while. Mostly you're hearing about some one person or group of people being murdered, or some fight inside of our government that could lead to people being murdered or neglected, whether it's, Social Security problems or homeless or whatever. The veterans. I mean, I told you guys, and I knew I would be right, that the Veterans Administration disgrace that we were witnessing 3 weeks ago would be dead in a week. When was the last time you thought about the VA? Honestly. Not today. Yep, it's gone. Every 10 years, the Veterans Administration will get exposed on something, and for 2 weeks there will be an outrage, and then it's gone. And that's why nothing will ever change at the VA. And I think that what you need to do is get rid of the VA and come up with Medicaid Part V for veteran. There. Done. So I did share the news article. I'm not going to be doing a show tonight for long enough to warrant a music break, I don't think. But let's go ahead and look at what else is in the news here. Yahoo News. I haven't looked at them in a while. I like to draw from various sources. U.S. authorities investigate suspected threat against Obama. Wow. Something in Connecticut. Did you guys hear about that one already? I mean, I'm sure this happens all the time, but authorities in Connecticut on Friday were investigating a possible threat against President Barack Obama. Local media reported U.S. Secret Service was responsible for... information has been received, they said, by law enforcement regarding a potentially suspicious person and vehicle. We are working with our local law enforcement partners to determine the validity of the information provided. Well, it looks like they're reaching a little there because they get threats like this every day. And almost all of them turn out to either be false or never materialize. What do you think about no strategy on Syria? You think that's something our president should have said? Is it wise to say we don't have a plan yet? Personally, the tan suit thing, I like the tan suit. I would wear that suit. There's nothing wrong with that tan suit. If you're going to attack them, there's plenty of stuff to attack them about, not a tan suit. GOP captive to ideologically rigid group. That's a claim I keep hearing, that the Republicans are run by the Tea Party, but I'm not seeing evidence of that. I think the Republicans are in control themselves, and the Tea Party is a motivating but just fringe force, in my opinion. Texas abuzz about possible Perry Cruz 2016 battle. That'd be interesting. Economic sanctions spare Western Tide Russian fund. Florida mother arrested 5 kids found living in filthy home. Are you serious? This made news? Good Lord, if we arrested every mother that had 5 kids in a filthy home, all the jails would be full. Yeah. U.S. arms Lebanon for fight against jihadists. You know, maybe we should stop doing the puppet thing. You know, shoving our hand up their asses and making them yap, yap, yap. Poll shows Mitt Romney leads in Iowa. Does that matter? God, this is like deja vu. Yeah, it really is. Family of instructor killed Arizona gun range does not blame girl. Well, yeah, you're going to blame a 9-year-old? Seriously. You're teaching a 9-year-old to use an Uzi. Of course you're not going to blame the girl. Jesus Christ. I mean, can you see somebody going, that 9-year-old should have been more careful with that Uzi? She's got 6 years before she's allowed to get a learner's permit to drive a car, but I'm handing her a fully automatic weapon that's deadly. Jesus Lordy. Putin, Vladimir Putin. I think he's a prick. President Elizabeth Warren, you think that's going to happen? Okay. All right, Barco. Chris is the main host. HTLA. Yeah. Yeah, Chris is the main host. His nickname is Crash Jesus, which he got from a radio name generator on the internet, by the way. But I still think it's an awesome friggin' radio name. You can find him at htla1.com, I think. It's HTLA973 out of New York. He's on Spreaker, too, as well. And he's got the radio voice. He's got the nasally voice. Just like Guy. I mean, not quite, both of you guys have the nasally voice. Guy, to me, sounds more like Adam Carolla, and I like that sound. But I'm not going to imitate either one of you guys to sound more radio-y. I'm trying to forge a new path here that says, hey, if you have a radio voice, if you're like me, you could still make it as long as you can think fast. Although, I mean, think of somebody like the comedian that died. What was his name? Mitch Hedberg? He wasn't a fast thinker, but he was kind of like Stephen Wright. But his comedy was good. His punchlines were brilliant. So you don't have to be a fast thinker if you've got some nice knowledge bombs to drop, in my opinion. But why do we care about Syria? Chris, I think the reason we care about Syria is because a government is attacking its people. And those people are having to watch their 10-year-olds be gang raped by Assad's regime, and that is happening, and then be beheaded. And my thought is, we're the most powerful country in the world. One thing we should step into is when a government attacks its people. Because if we allow that, and we ever become the country that needs help because our government is attacking our people, well, then we can't expect it. Can you imagine the Syrian woman who sees Assad's regime coming, looking out her window, saying, where's America? Or where's somebody? Where's the UN? Oh, it's a sad situation, and we've managed to muddy and cloud it up by saying, well, the people that are fighting Assad's regime are in some part terrorist. Oh, that gives people an easy out, but it's not that easy. We should already had something figured out with Syria, even if it was to just light a fire under the UN's ass. We got to care about Syria because we will be measured by what we do with regard to Syria. China owns over half the U.S., Chris says. We aren't even the most powerful country in North America. Who is, Barco? Would you say it's definitely not Mexico, so you must be talking about Canada. Canada. I happen to know a guy in the chat room right now that came from Canada, and they're very quiet about their power. If you've ever heard Will Shatner, who's also Canadian, speak, he says, if war ever breaks out between America and Canada, he says, I'm Canadian by birth. I'm obligated to start killing Americans. He said that on stage. Hey, I know we've been in everybody else's shit, and I don't like to be, but when it comes to genocide or governments killing their people, I think that's when we get involved, you know. I don't think we get involved in situations like Vietnam, especially when we're fighting these proxy wars with Russia. Ooh, let's put our capitalism puppet up against their communism puppet and see what happens. You know, Korea, it's ridiculous. That shit, we've got to, you know, that's a penis test. Yeah, the Red Wings did roll over the Capitals. You're right about that. The cartels would roll over the U.S. like that. Can't trust a country with pink money. I've always said that, Guy Shay. As soon as you get into pastels on the money, you're done. That's, you know, you're in monopoly land then. We'll send NATO. I'm down with sending NATO or the UN. UN troops, you know, light a fire under their ass. So America's a bit war weary right now, understandably. So maybe we could get some other countries to help. You know, it's a good cause when you have a government murdering its own people. And that's not an exaggeration. They're murdering, torturing, dismembering. It's ridiculous. I said right when it broke out, we got to have troops there. We got to get somebody there. I would hate to be a Syrian and not have some help. You know, they can't just all run. You know, they can't all run. But they don't. Some of them just don't have the means to do it. So they have to stay there and take the abuse. I don't know. It's getting serious. It's getting, get it, serious? Yeah. No, I didn't mean to do that. We didn't do shit for Somalia. Good point. Good point. And there were some other areas in Africa that we should have helped in, and we didn't. I don't know what you do there. I mean, the UN did get involved in some of the African conflict, but was it enough? I don't think so. I mean, what we need, guys, is a set of policies that is definitive. And it should say something like, in the case where one country is attacking another unprovoked, the United States will help the country who's being attacked. You know, something like that. So that no matter where this happens in the world, or between who, we know what we're going to do ahead of time. Because we have a set of policies that have been voted upon in Congress. And none of this fuzzy math stuff. Oh, we won't help in, you know, Sierra Leone, but we will help in Pakistan, or we won't help with the India-Pakistan thing, but we will help with the genocide in Kosovo. And come on, man, it's universal application of our foreign policy is what's important. World, Africa, U.S. Forces, Africa, terrorist raids. Send criminals armed with baseball bats. I had a guy on the show. Is this the Kierstead doctrine? Well, I'm not going to do the work, Marco, so no, I'm not that interested. I told you what I believe, but I wouldn't do the work, so clearly I don't believe in it so much that I would propose something. But what was I going to say? Let's see. Oh, Guy, yeah. I had a guy on the show who was I want to say ABC, but I may be wrong about that. It might have been Fox, investigative reporter for like 20 years. And he found out that the CIA was going into prisons to pull out some of the more intelligent prisoners, send them overseas, and if they survived their mission, they were brought back to the United States. Not only were they let out of prison, but they were basically given a free rein to do whatever they wanted because they had survived their mission. And he couldn't believe it, but he had all this evidence and he'd written a book about it, and I was like, you've got to be fucking kidding me. If that's true, we've got criminals running around right now that because they did missions for the CIA and survived, they've basically got a get-out-of-jail-free card permanently. That's just spooky, man. That's like setting Mike Tyson loose in a Miss America contest. That's just scary. The U.S. government did the same during World War II. Never the work. What did the U.S. government do during World War II? I'm not understanding you fully, Guy. And while you tell me that, I'm pulling up a little bit more news here. U.S. Oh, we already talked about that. Mexico operations thwart child family migrants. So Mexico's largest crackdown in decades on illegal migration has decreased the flow of Central Americans trying to reach the United States and has dramatically cut the number of child migrants and families, according to officials. And that's from the AP. I didn't realize they were cracking down. It seemed to me like they were ramping up their ignorance to let people fly across. But apparently that's not true. Police officer resigns, another is fired after Ferguson incidents. Well, you saw that coming. Y'all saw the guy that aimed his rifle directly at a person, right? Who was no threat at all? You can't do that. That person's got to be fired. We've already got militant police forces in this country. Since 9/11, we've let them turn into small militaries. The behavior is being overlooked because we're allowing our local police forces to hire private companies that do their training, so you can't go after them from a government standpoint. Oh, this is city police. No, we hired ABC company to do our security. And that's why they rolled in with the tank and abused those people. So go sue them in a civil suit. They're figuring it out. There's a lot of privately hired security in today's police forces. You still got to stand up to them. You cannot... This country, I swear to God, we're looking like, Germany circa 1943, if you're a Jew. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous how we're being treated by police. You look at the Constitution, and then you look at a social gathering, and you're going to be like, we must not be in this country. What country are we in here? Because this Constitution doesn't match what I'm seeing. The 2 reporters that were arrested in McDonald's, fuck that, man. That pisses me off. Freedom of speech, freedom of religion, freedom to assemble peacefully. That means don't throw urine bottles or Molotov cocktails, assholes. That's a guarantee to an American citizen. But it's not being upheld. And who's paying the price when the police start launching the tear gas, which has been declared illegal worldwide, but is still allowed to be used on civilians in our country? Miley Cyrus's date turns himself in and posts bail. Well, y'all heard about that. She took a homeless guy to the whatever the awards are for her thing. Yeah, I'm running out of energy. Let's see, Neptune and Dodgeball Asteroid Star and webcast tonight. Watch live. It almost sounds exciting, but I don't know what it's about. It's a cosmic double play, they say. Armchair astronomers can enjoy it. Close flying asteroid. No, that doesn't sound exciting. Watching a rock fly by a planet, doesn't do it for me. Now, if it was a UFO, if it was an intelligently controlled UFO, yeah, I'd be in on that. U.S. airstrikes on Syria would face formidable obstacles. Duh. If it didn't, we would have done it already. Is Obama dragging Democratic Party down? That comes from the Christian Science Monitor. Just to, full disclosure thing there. You listen to this, guys. This is my last one I'm going to read. UN urges U.S. to stop police brutality after Missouri shooting. The UN racism watchdog urged the United States on Friday to halt the excessive use of force by police after the fatal shooting of an unarmed black teen. You know the whole story. How about that? The UN telling us now. Y'all motherfuckers racist. Damn. Oh, that's weird that I mentioned Sierra Leone earlier. Now I'm looking. Gene studies of Ebola in Sierra Leone show viruses mutating fast. Well, that's the problem with news. I read it to you, and now you're contaminated, folks. Now you're going to worry. Gaishe says, let known mafia leaders serving life terms out if they helped in the Italy fight versus the Axis forces. I didn't know they did that in World War II. How about that, guy? I did not know that. Oh, you've got a video up on it. Okay. All right. That's interesting. I didn't know that. Okay, guys, well, this show was about nothing, and it turned out to be about something. So I should have, I think, exceeded your expectations. It's also been on longer than it was going to be on. So I was only going to do an hour. It's been about an hour and 10 minutes. So there's bonus time. And that's because you guys came into the chat room. And Chris and I did a show, and he basically said, Kevin, you got to watch your chat involvement. Don't get too involved in it because it diminishes the show, because people that are listening to the podcast later don't give a damn what was going on in chat. I understand that, but I also think that people in my chat room kind of make the show, because a lot of time if I were a comedian, for example, I would play the crowd constantly. So the whole thing is I like that interaction. That's my form of socializing. So yes, I agree that it doesn't make for the best show when you're too involved in chat, but I also would hate to somehow ignore people in there and then have these people that bothered to come listen to my show and go in chat feel like, who the hell is this host who's not even paying attention to us, I don't know. I agree with the business end of it, but I can't agree with the personality side of it as it applies to me. I have to interact with people in chat. So you people listening on iHeart later, you're going, I don't give a damn who's Guy Shay, who's Chris? You keep saying Chris. Who's Barco? I'm sorry. These are people that are in my chat room, and I got to give them respect. You people that are listening on iHeart ought to come on over to Spreaker. Come on. You can get live once in a while. I'll let you call in. Dial right down the middle. 1-800-CALLATT. Yeah, I saw. In fact, as long as we're talking about calling people, what would be a fitting call for today? What were we talking about earlier? Actually, none of these apply. We were talking about World War II, which did involve the British, and we could call, let's call Margaret Thatcher.
I beg your pardon?
Hello?
Do you dare accost me in this manner?
I do accost thee.
Am
Yes.
I the object of this brazen overture?
Yes, you are.
Then kindly confine your remarks to a brief message, to commence as soon as you shall hear the tone. Good day.
Hey, Miss Thatcher. You sounded like you felt accosted, yet I did not accost thee, and remain on the other side of the pond. I could not help but notice a rather pompous attitude being displayed by you toward me as an American, and my whole thing is, why don't we be friends? Why can't we be friends? Why can't we be friends? You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Why can't we be friends? Why can't we? That whole thing. We should be friends. We should see each other more as equals. But you have your tea time and your croutons, and I just drink my coffee and say fuck and shit and cock and piss, and so we're on a different social, intellectual scale of manners and class. But yet, wasn't it the big bad monster of America that came over and took England by the hand and said, do you want to win this war? Let's go win this fucking war. Yeah, so our balls, even though we lack class, still play a major part in world affairs today. So I think you should treat us better, Miss Thatcher. Yeah, sorry. Oh, I've been cut off. Let's learn some Japanese real quick.
Thank you for calling Learn Japanese in 20 seconds a day. Are you ready? Let's
I'm
begin.
ready. To
sign up for tomorrow's lesson, please leave your name and number after the beep. Sayonara.
Chukere kole foresta pitaro kara la mamala. La da vowel and a lot of consonant, dang dang, ting tang, wing wang, bing bang, and ching chang, chong. Yeah. Call me back, bitch.
Surprise, motherfucker.
Hello, you have reached the right house, but you're listening to the voice of Howard Stern. The stupid twerp that you're calling is an imbecile, and he is probably playing with himself right now. That's why he's too busy to come to the phone. Leave a message at the beat, etc., etc., etc. Thank you.
Hello. This is Bob the Boogie. The owner ain't home right now, so if you want to leave a message, then do so. But it won't matter, because I'm going to take the answer phone, and the TV, and the stereo, and the VCR, and all the money.
Well, Bob the British burglar, the police only carry batons, is that correct? So you just have to outrun them. See, in this country, as soon as you stepped out the window, they'd shoot your ass 40 times. So good on you for being British there.
Hi, I'm not here. Please leave a message for my dog, who will return your call as soon as he finishes going through the garbage and depositing it all over my nice clean kitchen floor, turns over his water dish, chews the buttons off the couch cushions, chases the neighbor's cat up the biggest tree on the block, finishes licking himself in areas that are impolite in mixed company, and impregnates the bitch next door. Wait,
I knew it. I knew it. I knew he was going to have sex with the bitch next door. It always happens. It always happens, man. Luckily, in my case, the bitch next door is about 173 years old. And from what I hear, just from what I hear, she has something between her legs that people are calling a saddle. I don't know what that means entirely, but I suspect that it means a leathery, stiff kind of package. One that is tougher than cowboy boots, I would suspect, or maybe even ostrich skin boots. Now, I'm not one to talk about people's vaginas, but sometimes people do have crooked vaginas. And I think it needs to be addressed. We pretend it doesn't happen. But people do sometimes have crooked vaginas, and I don't know why everybody avoids talking about it. I think it's terrifying that people hide things like this, when we really do need to talk about things like crooked vaginas or crooked penises, or condoms that are made from lead. That's not healthy. You should never make condoms from lead. Yeah. Okay, let's see what you guys are doing in chat. You sound more Korean. Yeah. Okay, guys, well, I'm getting ready to get out of here. I do appreciate you stopping into the chat. I'm sure you guys have better things to do than listen to me fuck around with sound effects. So, and that's another thing Crash Jesus recommends. Don't cuss on your show. Seriously, he's right. If you're talking about having the broadest appeal possible, you want to avoid cussing on your show. You want to avoid getting too involved in your chat room stuff, and keep it as universal as possible. His show's like that. Although I did hear you drop the F-bomb the other day, Crash Jesus, on your show. Well, it wasn't the other day. It was like August 6th or something. Yeah, but I have to do my show my way, and I asked people on Facebook. I said, listen, I want to hear your vote. Do I cuss or not on my new radio show? That was a year ago, and everybody's like, if it helps you express yourself, cuss, and it fucking does. I will admit, though, that there is a dearth of class there. You sense it when someone cusses too much. It's just like, oh, we're going to that level. We're stepping into the ghetto a little bit here. Yeah, I know. I almost wish I didn't because of that. But to me, when you cuss, it also proves you have balls. Whereas if you don't cuss, you have to prove it in other ways, and I'm too lazy to prove it in those other ways. So I like to just be like, what the fuck? And then people don't fuck with me. Does that sound strange? It probably does, but I know what I mean, and that's all that's important. 1 in 4 Republicans say global warming is major threat to U.S. 1 in 4. Okie doke. I'm leaving that alone. You can look it up. So let's see. I guess I'll give you guys a song on the way out. I want to give you one of the better songs. And judging by the crowd I have in here, I think something kind of fast moving is going to be the order of the day. But since we've been talking about life, and I believe life is a foolish game, we're going to play Snowflake's A Foolish Game, featuring Admiral Bob. Before we do that, we're going to play a quick commercial. For those of you who may join late, you'll be able to find out how to follow the show. So this will tell you about the Facebook page and the Spreaker page and the iHeart page. Then we will have Snowflakes, A Foolish Game, featuring Admiral Bob. And that will be the end of the show. So thank you, Crash. Thank you, Guy Shea. Thank you, Barco, for coming into the chat. Valerie stopped by. Apocalypse stopped by. And some other people, I think, because my memory, I remember when they talked about the long-term to short-term, short-term to long-term. Yeah, mine's not always working how it should. But I wish you a happy Saturday morning now, at least in my time zone, 12:20 a.m. Eastern Time. Thank you for bothering to listen to my show tonight. That is that, and here goes this.
You're listening to Truth on Tap with host Kevin Kierstead.
Ladies and gents, this is Kevin Kierstead, host of Truth on Tap and Caps on Tap. I hope you're enjoying the show. Truth on Tap is focused on bringing you absolute truth about everything from mainstream media to comedy, from psychology to the paranormal. This show keeps it real, not the fake kind of real, the real kind of real. That same spirit also covers our Caps on Tap show about the Washington Capitals. Caps on Tap shows air only after Capitals wins at this time. Please come like our Facebook page and join the conversation at facebook.com/Truth on Tap show. Truth on Tap has been picked up and promoted by iHeartRadio, the internet audio mega monster, so shows are available there as well as on Spreaker and a limited selection on iTunes. To get in on a show's chat, you can chat from the Facebook page I mentioned or go to www.spreaker.com/user/truth-on-tap and look for the live episode or call in at 910-NO-LYING. That's 910-665-9464. Thanks again for checking out Truth on Tap and Caps on Tap.
You're listening to Truth on Tap with host Kevin Kierstead.
Life's a foolish game. Do you ever feel the same? Well, maybe we could change, turn the ship another way. Feel it in the darkness, we're sailing right into those jagged cliffs. Yeah. Some say we've always been insane. Hey, life's a foolish game. Simple equation for an enclosed system. Natural world gone missing, plus all our CO2 emissions equals degradation, wasting ships and mass extinctions. Oh no. But maybe we can change, we sure can't stay the same, 'cause life's a foolish, foolish game. Solution, rewire our connection, maybe less consumption, emerging from a mind of isolation. Revalue all that we've been given. God don't work on commission. We make up one big breathing chain, we're quite the same. Hey, life's a foolish, foolish game. Life's a foolish game. Do you ever feel the same? Well, maybe we could change and turn the ship another way. take less than we've been given if we move in that direction. Yeah. We'll find our place in this living chain. We're quite the same. Yeah, life's a foolish, foolish game. Life's a foolish game. Hey, life's a foolish game.
You're listening to Truth on Tap with host Kevin Kierstead.